back to another episode of Horror 365. I am your host, the mouthpiece of the Northeast, Jimmy J. Today, alongside the 80s horror god himself, Sean T. And joining us, a very special guest today from Friday the 13th, Part 5. He is Reggie the Reckless, or better known as Mr. SHAVAR Ross. SHAVAR, thank you for taking the time joining us today on Horror 365. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, finally we make this come to fruition. I know we were chatting a little bit here and there, back and forth, but some exciting things coming up, SHAVAR. We're going to get into that a little bit later on, talk about Friday the 13th next month at the Waldorf Estate of Fear, going on in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. But right now, I ask everyone this question. SHAVAR, what was your intro into the horror genre?
Intro probably would be a film by the name of Repetition, aka Friday the 13th Part 5. Because when at 14 years old, when I got the part, I didn't know it was a Friday the 13th film. We just knew it as Repetition. That was the secret title that they had, and so was never really into horror. I just knew the film was Repetition, and then finally, first day on the set, the producers got with me and my dad, and they were telling me that this is a Friday the 13th Part 5 film, and I was like, whoa, wow. I got really excited after that because my buddy Corey was in Part 4. So I didn't know until like the first day on the set that it was a Friday the 13th Part 5 film.
Now, before we get into Friday the 13th, because I know fans, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear the juice, okay? They want to talk Friday. But I want to talk a little bit before that. You started your career in, I believe it was 1980, correct?
1980, that's right. That's right. Wow.
And it was Different Strokes, and it was Mr. Dudley Johnson. You were the best friend of Gary Coleman's character in the show. I want you to talk to us about landing that role and the challenges you face as a child actor starting out in the business.
Well, my father actually was the actor. My parents were separated, and so we were in New York, and my dad took off he wanted to see his name in lights. He was a serious actor, method acting. I mean, he took classes. He was very much into it, but my parents were separated. So my father took off to Los Angeles and got with William Morris, which was one of the top, it still is really, agents in Hollywood at the time. He was a very, very good actor. And I was like 7 years old, talking to my mom, like, where's my dad? Where's my father? I want to see my dad. Who is my dad? All this type of talk. And so my mom, she finally, after begging her, she sent me to California for my Christmas vacation in elementary school. And so I got to visit my dad for a week. And then while I was visiting my father's name was Hank Ross, and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Boom Boom Washington from Welcome Back Carter, took me to a play that starred Kim Fields. And so I was just so excited. Oh, this young actress, Kim Fields, starring in this play. And my dad and Lawrence, at the end of the play, on the way out, children's talent agent discovered me. Her name was Evelyn Schultz. And that's how I got it discovered. She said, you got to get this child into commercials. And, literally the next week I was already working, did my first commercial, Amtrak commercial. And that's how I got started. So I never really pursued, acting per se, trying to make it in the industry and trying to come out to be an actor. That I never intended. I just came to California to see my father and never went back. So been out here most of my life since age about 7.5.
So it just happened organically. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go see Pops, and then all of a sudden, boom.
That's right.
I'm on TV, ma.
Right. Literally.
From Different Strokes, were there any episodes or memories that you have from that stand out to you?
We had that serious episode where Dudley almost got molested by the WKRP man, I like to say, but he was a gentleman, really nice man. But that's one of the ones that stood out to me. And the room for one more episode where Dudley almost got adopted, but never came to fruition there. But those were my two memorable episodes. And I was actually fortunate to do the very last episode of Different Strokes. And so I was really thankful for that. So I worked from 1980 to the very last episode, 13 out of 22 shows to 1986.
We're gonna go from Dudley, I guess, to Reggie because that's what the fans want to hear. They want to talk Friday. So you played Reggie Winter, and you were the grandson of George Winter, which was the cook for the Pinehurst Halfway House, the mental institution, if you will, of sorts, for the teenagers that were staying there. What was this? What was the casting process like? Talk to us about this, and what was going through your mind when you first seen the script?
Well, I don't believe I really saw the full script until later on, but I just remember going on several auditions and maybe two or three. And then I had to read in front of director Danny Steinman. And then I think the third time that I auditioned, they brought in Miguel Nunez to see, our chemistry as far as the big brother, little brother thing. So I think I auditioned maybe about three times for the role.
You and Miguel clicked. Honestly, my favorite part of the movie was Miguel and your interaction, and then Miguel obviously in the bathroom stall doing the infamous "ooh baby" scene over there. But
Ooh, baby.
yeah,
That just rings in my ears every time.
you hear it's like you know what when I seen him when I seen him at was it Monroeville Mall, it was Living Dead weekend, and I see Miguel sitting there and everybody's on the lines. I'm like, why is I guess they didn't see him sitting down. So I ran over to him. I'm like, oh Miguel. And then he jumped up and I said, man, we got to do it. We got to do the ooh baby. He said, oh hell yeah. He got up and we did it together. And it was everybody was going nuts in there, man. We had the crowd actually doing the ooh baby with us, everybody in there. So it was just that little line. It's so crazy how you think about it, right? All these years later, his role in that part was so memorable, but your role was just as memorable, if not more, as Reggie the Reckless in there. Were there any moments that to you filming that stood out to you that you remember more than anything else from that film?
Running in the rain and a lot of screaming. So that that's one of my most memorable moments. Running and actually in the film, I'm like running with Pam, and then I actually literally fell, like I really fell. It wasn't even in the script, and I just got back up and just kept running. But I just remember running, and I actually was running track around that time too. I was 14 years old in middle school, so I enjoyed running in the rain. But that was my favorite part. All the scenes with the fake rain on the, they had the rain coming down on these tall poles and stuff, and all of the night scenes and being able to be up late at night. And it was really a very fun experience for me, especially during the premiere in Westwood. It was me, Corey Feldman, and my good buddy Noah Hathaway. Remember
Oh
actor
yeah,
Noah Hathaway, or Treyu from the
yeah.
Never Ending Story. We were up in the balcony, and it just was one of the best experiences of my life. I just totally loved it. Big, gigantic screen, and people run. And what's so funny, because people knew me from different strokes, and so a lot of the times when I was running, especially when I left Pam and all this type of stuff in the scene, people were like, "Run, Dudley!" It wasn't Reggie; it was
So wait, was
"Run,
that Dudley?
Dudley." And I was like this in the theater. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And people were literally jumping off their seats. I mean, this is what I find so fascinating about the whole series. You're talking about a film that was 30 years, 30 something years old. I forgot how long it's been. Has it been, what, 30 something years?
Yeah,
30, 30,
almost
30,
40.
oh, 38 years or something like that. And so it just amazes me how people still love the film. Friday the 13th, the part five version, has its little controversies and stuff like that. But you have a lot of people that are fans of it. And I just find that fascinating. And I'm very thankful and grateful to just still be a part of the franchise after all of these years. Mhm.
Yeah, it's something. Part five, I gotta say, it's something different than the other parts, and it's growing on a lot of people because of the characters. Characters like yourself, characters like Ron Sloan and Carol, rest her soul, Carol Locatel. And I feel like people in the beginning, like years back, they were giving it a lot of heat. But again, it's growing in the community and rightfully so. I think it's one of the better Friday the 13th films, in my opinion. Um, you know, Working on the set with the cast now, were there any interactions with the cast members or even behind the scenes that you can I don't know, maybe funny stories maybe that you can let the fans know?
Well, speaking of funny, I actually thought the film was kind of like a comedy. I thought it was funny the whole time, just making a film, seeing them with the dummies and the head, Ron Sloan's head. I thought that was just hilarious how they were filming all night trying to make the head drop like on the ground, like a certain way. And they had to redo it over and over. Take two, drop the head. It just was so funny to me. Just the thing. It was fun. It was fun. It was nothing scary about it to me.
You're probably having the time of your life. You're in there. I'm in the Friday the 13th film.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is awesome. So,
Couple part question here. So either prior to you filming part 5 or after, have you seen a bunch of the other Friday films, or
No, I
you?
haven't
Oh,
seen
so you
it.
still haven't seen?
Still to this day, I haven't seen. I think I went to the theater to see part 6 because I was curious to see what was the next story about, the next storyline. And I think I may have seen a little bit of part 4 with Corey. But other than that, I don't remember watching any of the other ones just straight through. And matter of fact, Paramount, we did like an audio commentary some years back for the commentary series. I think it was some sort of package they were trying to put together with all of the films. And Danny Steinman and John Shepard and I we were able to do an audio commentary for the movie. And I absolutely loved that. That was just that was really fun to do. But I forgot your question. I forgot the question.
Well, I just wanted to bring up the point. Each of the films I think has a standout character for each individual film. That's and for me and my experience in the Friday world, Reggie the Reckless stands out. By far as the character from part 5 that everybody just adores. But I just want to see if you had one from another film that you like. But I wanted to also talk about the breakfast scene and the
Mhm.
fight. And it's one of my favorite scenes. And I'm sorry, I apologize. Her name slipped my mind, but Violet, I've spoken to her many times
Tiffany
about this.
Haddish.
Tiffany
Yes.
Haddish, yeah.
So her reaction to the fight scene, if you watch everybody individually during that scene, I love it and I think it's because there's so much character development in the beginning of the film that you kind of, everyone's personality kind of stands out, because if you look at Violet, she's just like, hell yes, and you're like, oh my God, in front of her. So that scene just always stood out for me in those regards.
Okay.
Definitely one of my favorites.
I think that was one of the first days on the set for me, was doing the breakfast scene there. So
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I was also very shocked. I think I heard about repetition the first time from our conversation with Carol and Ron, but I also spoke to Tom about that, and he said the same thing. I mean, the guy is playing Jason in the movie, and he said he didn't even know in the beginning. But I really liked when Carol was telling us the story, how they were all sitting there, and all of a sudden this guy in a hockey mask walks by, and they kind of looked at each other like, "Wait a minute, we're in a Friday the 13th film." So,
Oh wow.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Wow,
Uh,
yeah.
well, one of the main questions I had for you is, from part 5, the new beginning. What's your favorite death scene? Who's your favorite kill in the movie?
I would probably say Tiffany Helm's scene.
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant with Violet, the way they had the sword, him
Yeah.
walking in the room, and she was doing her little robot and stuff. And then of course with the music, there's a magical
Right.
light. I don't know the words. I just thought that was pretty brilliant, how just the lighting and how they did it to the
Yeah.
music. That's probably
In the
my
beginning of the scene, Roy's kind of hidden in the shadows there, and
yeah.
Violet's just in her
Right. I really like that.
in Violet's world, which she is in most of the film. So,
Yeah.
So after Friday, did you want to act in any more horror films after that? Were you looking for more horror movies to act in, or just any acting gig in general that you can get at the time?
Well, I remember my dad coming to me and talking about part 6. That's something they wanted me to get my head chopped off. And I'm like, really? A kid? Well, but my father came to me and said they were thinking about something like that. Thank God it never came to fruition. But no, that part I remember. But no, I never thought about it. To me, it was work. I was doing a lot of guest starring roles at the time and just always working and having fun. So I never considered, at 14, it wasn't like, let me figure out what kind of next horror film to do. it was just going on auditions, and whatever comes, I would just go out and try to get the part.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, all right, teenager. It's like, hey, whatever comes my way, I'm going to take it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's crazy. It's, thinking about it, imagine Reggie the Reckless in part 6. CJ
Yeah,
Graham.
because he didn't kill kids, did he? No.
No, but that would have
Jason-
worked. And I would have loved to seen it. Like, how would they have how would Tom McLaughlin, write you in that script? Like,
Yeah, I
it would
don't
have
know
been
how that
unique though,
happened.
because your character, you're a tough kid, man.
The thought process might have been, how they all have that flashback scene in the beginning, like Alice getting killed in the apartment. I know they wanted Ginny to come back for part 3, but that never happened. So,
Okay.
maybe that was the thought process there that somebody had. Or maybe there
Okay.
was other idea for part 6 outside of Tom McLaughlin's. I mean, I don't know that if that's true or not, but but that'd be my guess. It would be one of those flashback or cut scenes or whatever.
See, I
Yeah,
see.
you might be right, because that's what they were doing in a lot of the films, obviously, the Friday films.
Yeah, like especially Alice, getting killed in her apartment, by Jason in the beginning of part 2. So
Well, that's interesting that you said beginning because that's the part that I remember my dad telling me, and I was devastated. He said in the very beginning, it was something with me getting my head chopped off or
got
something.
you.
And I
I
was
would
like,
have
what?
I would have revolted if Reggie would have got it, man.
Yeah, I would have been upset, man. I would have been. I didn't want to see that. Reggie should have been teaming up with Tommy in 6, and that's how it should have went. But yeah, I'm glad it didn't happen. Now that I hear that they wanted you to behead you in the beginning of part 6, Shavar. That's not how. No, I would have
No.
not accepted that. But we move on. There was something else I want to talk about, and other than horror related, it's Family Matters. Okay, man, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, Family Matters. Family Matters, excuse me, which was, for those that don't know, a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. You had the role of Weasel in season 4 and 5, I believe. How
Mhm.
was that?
Well, a lot of them, like Jaleel White and Darius, I've known for years, even before I even came onto that show. Weasel was only supposed to be on just one time, and guest starring role, and I guess they kind of liked my delivery of some of the lines there. But and then also there were some similar producers, which I should say some of the same producers from different strokes that was actually a part of the Family Matters team. So a lot of them already knew me as a young kid. So coming into Family Matters, doing that one episode was really great. And next thing you know, they offered me a 13 out of 22 episode contract. And I was supposed to, at least Weasel's character was supposed to be on to the very end. I think he might have been doing a little bit too much though, and they had to kind of tone me down. So I ended up getting paid for the remaining shows that I was supposed to do on that show. So it was very interesting because I think I had maybe 6 or 8 shows left to do, and all of a sudden it was like, no, we can't have Weasel back. He's just too much. I think because it was the family, TGIF. I think, and me, Weasel was kind of like, he was funny, but I think
Funny.
he was a little bit kind of mean. So I don't know if that's what did it or what, but I ended up getting paid for like 6 or 7 episodes, and didn't even have to do any of them.
So you're telling me? So you're telling me you got paid and didn't even have to work?
Huh?
You telling me you got paid and didn't have to work?
Yeah, I got. Well, that happened before. It happened several times
I'm just
before.
checking. Just checking.
Yeah, yeah, just checking. Right, right, right.
Yes.
And,
In
so that
regards
was very interesting.
in regards to that, what was them keeping you on part of the fan base, the viewers' reaction to your first episode on the show, or was it the crew that wanted to keep you going?
I think maybe just the opposite of that. I think it might have been, uh, I don't know. I think it was, a little bit of. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think it
Right.
was just a distraction. I think it was more
Gotcha.
internal.
So I've heard of other like actors who were like in one episode of a sitcom. One that stands out is Mimi from the Drew Carey Show. I saw a documentary or something where she was supposed to be in one episode or something, but the fans liked the character so much that if you've ever seen the show, she's stayed on through the whole series.
Okay, yeah, something like that.
I think it could have been that your delivery was so good they were afraid, because that's initially, I believe, what happened with Jalel, right? With Urkel. Like, it wasn't based on him, it was based on the family, you know, Carl, Harriet, and then Urkel became the main star of the show. Do you think that that may have been one of the reasons?
You're like Sherlock Holmes here. You're figuring it out here. But yeah, that's kind of what was happening. Weasel started getting a little bit too popular.
Mm.
You know, I think that's what's going on there. And you know, even during some of the scenes, um, all of a sudden it was just like he's just too much. And then I remember during rehearsals, all of a sudden I just saw the change. My lines started being cut. I was in certain scenes, and all of a sudden they just kind of started cutting some of my scenes. I wasn't even in the scene anymore, and I'm like, "What is going on here?" So I knew something. They were basically toning me down a little bit, the character down. So, and then it ended off with the big payoff where they were like, "Nope, Weasel's not coming back." And I kind of knew that was going to happen already, you know. But it was just a fun experience. I think I did 13 episodes, so it was fun, enjoyable. I still, you know, friends with all of the cast, and we chat, you know, on Instagram and online and stuff like that. So
Any cool stories with them, with the cast?
nothing out that stands out. I just remember growing up with Jaleel and Darius, and you know, uh, I think Darius McCrary. We actually went out for the same role. So I went out for I forgot the year, but Darius McCrary, who played the son,
Eddie, yeah.
Eddie Winslow, he was up for a film called Big Shots, and I actually was trying to get that film too. So we were going trying to get. I was trying to get Big Shots. Darius got it, and around that time, I believe 1985, Goonies.
Goonies.
So it was Mouth. Mouth was the character that I was auditioning for, and then Corey ended up getting the Mouth role in Goonies, and then shortly, it must have been shortly after that that I ended up doing the Friday the 13th film. But I think both of those films were in '85. Goonies.
Yeah, you're right. Correct.
I remember auditioning for Goonies too.
Yeah, how was that? I was about to say you brought it since you brought it up, the Goonies. How was that audition? Because
I just didn't get it.
I gotta get it, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
I didn't get the part, but when I learned that Corey got it, I was excited and happy about that because I did my second commercial with Corey, a Kodak commercial at the San Diego Zoo. So that you know we've been friends for a long time, and we've done some conventions, and you know we pass by each other from time to time. Used to hang out a lot more when I was younger, but you know as you get older, you know
That's what happens.
I had kids,
Yeah,
I got married. Yeah, I got a wife and a life.
and it's like, yeah, once a year, maybe you contact that good friend. Hey, you're on the phone for a few hours, and I'll call you next year.
Right.
But
Mhm.
yeah, that's cool that you had that kind of relationship with Corey. And thinking about it, you know, child actors, '80s. Um, you guys must have had a lot of experiences going to, like you said, some of the same auditions or you know, hanging out on the same sets or whatnot. I mean, there I know I keep asking, I'm peppering you with the same question, it seems like, Shavar, but just like experiences, because I know fans, they want to hear about stuff that they don't know about, or maybe behind the scenes or something, or interactions between two, you know, celebrities. So like anything, any stories you could talk to us about with Corey back in the '80s.
Um, um, we used to go to Alfie's Soda Club pop parties. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but there were these like teenage people that were in the industry, actor like Alyssa Milano, and I remember Corey was there, and some of Quincy Jones's kids and stuff like that. So we ended up going to these parties, and that was really fun. It was kind of like these little celebrity. It was called Alfie's Soda Pop Club parties, and I used to go to them all the time. And you know, it was just a great experience to hang out with my friends and people that were in the industry. So it was mostly positive for me. You know, I've had my share of close calls, but thank God, you know, I never really, you know, got too deep into the things that I was into that caused me to be like, you know, oh, there's another child actor, you know, that went down, you know. So it was really by the grace of God for me because I was a little wild one back then. So
You know, I think it was just
I was a wild. Oh, another thing I was going to say, I was emancipated. I was an emancipated minor. So at 15, legally by the courts, I was considered an adult. So I got to separate from my parents at 15. So I had my own apartment, my own pad, my own car. I
Wow.
bought my very
15?
car. 15, and I don't wish that on any 15-year-old, but I was able to, cash out, so to speak, with my trust fund and all of that stuff. At literally at 15, I was on my own, had my own car, and paying my own bills. Been on my own since 15 years old.
That's dangerous,
So
though. That's definitely dangerous. A 15-year-old
yeah,
with a bankroll, and
yeah.
in the 80s.
Oh yeah, that's why I said my wild experience. Yeah, this
Now
was,
that you
oh
brought it
my
up,
goodness,
Shavar, you got to say something. You got to tell us something about one of these wild experiences. Give us something.
okay. Tell me, say it again. I'm
Oh, no,
sorry, I
no.
barely
I
heard you
was
there.
saying you talk about you had a lot of wild experiences. Like
Oh,
you were wild. You're wild. I mean, think about it. 15 in the 80s with a bankroll. It's not good. It's just it's a recipe for disaster. But I got to hear. You said you're a little wild. Anything you can tell us? Any kind of story about you being on your own? Something from the 80s?
the thing is that I never really wanted to be on my own. It just worked out to where, my parents were fighting over my finances. And at the same time, my agent was like, if you got to be an emancipated minor, you can work longer hours because as a child, you can only work a certain amount of hours on the set. And so my agent Evelyn was really pushing for me to get emancipated so that way I can be more viable, I should say, maybe to the studios or something to work longer hours. But so that was the main reason why I got emancipated. It wasn't until my parents started kind of back and forth, pulling me here, pulling me there. And my mother eventually came to California. When I told you my dad was an actor, my mom came out and everything. And so, but there was some lots of confusion going on with that. And so I just remember crying to my agent and I was like, I want my own car and I have to give my parents my money and stuff like that. And my agent was like, well, Shavar, you're an emancipated minor. You don't owe your parents anything. So I was able to buy my first car and kind of branched out on my own. It was just a lot going on. You know how with former or child actors, you have parents fighting and stuff like that. And I just wasn't into the drama. And so I took advantage of that and was able to live on my own. From there legally, it was just, but I was just so young, drinking and smoking and just a wild person, young person. Just and the only thing about it was you have so many people around you who they say they're your friends
Mhm.
and they may or may not be, but that's one of the downfalls, when you have money in your pocket, you're 15 years old and you have all these people around you, and you're just constantly giving, just, hey, sure, man, I got you, no problem. Hey, man, no, I'll buy you that. It was a lot of that going on. So, but nothing terribly bad. It's just a lot of negativity with my parents and going through that whole battle of just being able to be separate there.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. And at that age too, like you said, having that money, you don't know, are people genuine? Are they just using
Right,
me? Like, are these people trying to set me up for disaster?
right,
So it's like you get heads on a swivel. You got to be careful who you're talking to. It's money makes people act funny. That's what they say, and it's true. So you live and you learn.
and I was going to say, I've always been a giving person, so that didn't help. So, and people knew that. It's like, here, it was only until I started getting a little bit older, like maybe 16, 17, I had to kind of pull back. But I gave a lot because I didn't want to be on my own. So my giving to people was, hey, I really want you to be around me too at the same time. But I wouldn't wish that on the worst. I wouldn't wish that on any 15-year-old to be. You're not even mentally ready to handle the responsibility, in my opinion. Some people, they mature more quickly than others, but at 15, I had to learn how to write out a check and everything. It was just, it was just a lot.
It's too much. You need to enjoy your childhood. Your adolescent years, your teenage years. You need to enjoy those years. And at 15, like you said, you were an adult. So yeah, it's something that a lot of people don't go through. But I'll tell you what, the blessing of that is that you learned a lot at an early age. You learn how to take care of yourself at an early age. So a lot of
Mm,
people are grown men, 40s, 50s that still can't, you
that's
know,
right.
do anything. So that's the positive that came out of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to say, I don't have any regrets. I think everything happens for a reason. So no, I don't have any regrets. It was a, I've had a very exciting life. As a young actor, especially African American in the whole industry. Seeing, I mean, I came to California and Rodney Allen Rippey. You remember Rodney Allen Rippey from
Yeah.
the Jack in the Box commercial? He was like, oh my gosh. And then Gary started working. I remember watching Different Strokes on TV before I even came to visit my dad. So it was almost like, oh wow, look at this, these young black kids on TV. So coming to California to get discovered and then several months later to be literally on the show that you were watching, that to me, that was just surreal. It was just like, wow, next thing you know, people are coming up to you, 9, 10 years old. I was my elementary school's president, making announcements every day. So even in school, because as you know, I wasn't in every episode. So I went back to regular school, in between shooting different things and guest appearances or what have you. But so coming back from filming or shooting an episode, the whole school, all of the kids were like, I saw you last night. So it was always that. You very, very popular as a young person. So that was fulfilling.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling. Like yeah, that's one of the rewards of that. Going in there, you have people. Oh yeah, man, I seen the episode last night. And it's a good feeling.
And it's interesting too because over the years, this is the funny part. When I first got started, it was like ah, and then when I used to hang out with Gary Coleman too, it was even like more people. Like oh my goodness, sometimes we just go to the mall, Gary and I, and people were all over the place, just coming up to him, and I was there, and then they would recognize me afterwards. Hey, Dudley too. Oh my goodness.
We did together.
Right, right. And then just would stop us. But then as as after the show got canceled, then you would still have people recognizing me, and then in the 90s Family Matters, people would still kind of recognize me. But then after a while, it would be like, wait a minute, man, you look familiar. I know you from somewhere, And then 5 or 10 years later, it was like, then you just get stares and looks like, did I go to school with you? Now it's just like, but depending on the state that you're in, because in California, it's like actors are a dime a dozen, whether you're working or not. So, but if you go to somewhere like where my wife is from, like Oklahoma, and you go there, it's like, oh my God, people instantly still remember you. Like, oh, I remember you. I'm like, wow, okay. So it's really intriguing to still get recognized from time to time. Hmm.
Oh yeah, man, I can imagine. Like you said though, in LA, there's actors every day walking up and down the street, so it's like it's nothing new. But
Right.
you go to like the middle of the U.S., you're in Nebraska, something like that. You haven't seen nothing like that. This is the biggest thing.
Right. Yeah.
Down. It's yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, but I'm always grateful. I'm always grateful. I've always been kind to people that remember me from the shows and different things, my fans and stuff like that. So I always tell myself to, just be thankful. And I've never been the type of person who was like, what? No, I'm not signing no autographs right now. I'm eating. Can't you see me eating? I've never been like that. So I've always stopped what I was doing to just embrace the fans because you never know. And that's one great thing I love about the business. You can touch somebody. You can put a smile on their face. Even when you're doing the show, people are laughing in the live studio audience. But when you're off camera too, you can still, when people come up to me or back in those days, you can really put a smile or hug somebody or tell somebody thank you, thank them. Fans are always thanking us, but how about thanking them? Hey, thank you for watching, thank you for supporting me. So I've always been grateful in that kind of way.
Well, that means a lot, Savar. I appreciate hearing that too, because you hear some stories. Uh, Interactions don't go so well sometimes for fans that they meet people that they idolized or watched on
Mm,
TV.
Can I
Um,
speak to that for a second?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a really good point you made there, Shavar. My son and I just met you at NJ HorrorCon out here in Edison, New Jersey, and we go to many conventions, and sometimes you just have that really bad. You're left with that bad taste in your mouth.
yeah.
Not saying this is a bad thing, but you have some actors from '80s horror films, and you haven't heard their names since then. and sometimes they have a really crappy attitude, or something to that effect. Like you said, it feels good to have that. Oh my God, you're here to see me. Which you were very receptive, my son and and I enjoyed our interaction. But that's really appreciated amongst the fans. Because like I said, I go to a lot of horror conventions, and sometimes that's not always the case. I understand people have bad days and things, but you got to put that. I drove 3 hours to get here, and I'm giving you some money, and the least thing to do is maybe answer a question, or because I've had interaction where the actor don't even look up. It's just horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll take your money, sign your name, and next.
Wow.
And I'm one of the biggest 80s horror fans you're ever gonna meet, and I got questions, man.
Right. And not only that, but my attitude is like, you should be grateful and thankful that you're behind is even at this convention, that people still care about you enough to even give you some grocery money or whatever.
And then, the sour attitudes sometimes come from some of the bigger names. I recently met one of my favorite actors from a 1981 film called Madman, and the guy who plays the character Madman. And this guy talked to my son and I for 40 minutes, man. It was just, and it was an amazing experience. And, again, we had a great experience with you. But like you said, you got to be happy we're there to see it, because without the fans, if nobody went to the theater to watch Friday the 13th Part 5, we wouldn't be talking to SHAVAR Ross today,
Right,
so
exactly.
It's kind of a two-way street.
It is.
But again, we really appreciated meeting you a couple weeks ago, and you were one of the ones we enjoyed meeting. So
that was fun. I remember you. Yeah, I remember.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said we were doing an interview too. You said, "Okay, we're going to do an interview."
And I gotta say, as my son, I told you, you have one of the nicest autographs ever, man. Some of these, it's like scribble, scribble, scratch.
Right.
Yours was outstanding.
You know what it is with me? I try to live in gratitude. I really try to live in gratitude because, there's so much going on in the world right now.
Absolutely.
And so everything, even with signing the autographs, I'm thankful. And I take my time, with the autographs and just
You don't
sign
see that with
because
anyone.
you never know who you're touching. Some people bring stuff like murals and things with all kinds of different people from the Friday the 13th series have signed, and I've had people say, I just needed to get yours, man, or, and so I'm just grateful, just to even still be, I haven't been acting since 2008. I left acting to direct. I was in ministry for many years. For 8 years of my life, I was in
wanted to talk to
ministry.
you about that as well. I wanted to bring that now
Yeah.
that you brought that up real quick. Talk to us about this, because those that don't know, you founded a church, the Alive Church, right, in LA?
Oh my gosh, you did some research on me. Oh my goodness.
A little due diligence. I got to do a little bit, just a little. But you were pastor for 4 years, and I just wanted you to talk about going to Bible school and the journey into becoming a pastor. What was that like?
Well, first I was enrolling at USC Film School. I was hoping to be a director, but at the same time, I was concerned because I knew how Hollywood was, and I knew how it was for a child, but never an adult. And so I felt like I needed to protect myself spiritually because of the dangers of Hollywood. And so I opted out of USC and actually ended up going to Bible school for 4 years. And I was hoping that it was going to be able to get accredited to where I could at least have some sort of BA in counseling, because that was my goal. It didn't get accredited, and so I kind of had to start all over again. But yeah, I went to Bible school for 4 years, and then after those 4 years, I ended up starting a church in Hollywood, literally like in the heart of Hollywood. And I was a pastor of a non-denominational church for another 4 years. So I spent 8 years of my life just not in acting, none of that stuff. Now, we had a lot of actors that were coming, local actors and some people that were coming to visit. But it was a very grounding experience for me. I needed to really get grounded because I was a little wild, but then kind of, change my ways, so to speak. I wasn't really like a bad guy, but just like when you're 15 and for instance, I would just drive like crazy. I had undercover cops always just, slow down. I had my little radar detector right there on my car, just having fun. And I remember these undercover cops were like, pull over. And I'm like, oh, who are these guys? I didn't even know who they were. And they're like, pull over. And I was like, huh? Oh, okay, this is undercover. So I had my experience of just not paying tickets and just, nothing too, necessarily felony related, but just out there, very, outgoing, fast moving, drinking, smoking. I used to smoke a pack of Marlboros. I smoked one cigarette every hour on the hour for 4 years straight, from age 16 to 19, pack of Marlboros. And so I just, I got hooked on some things, like that, and but ended up changing my life and going to Bible school, ministry school, and got to pastor a group of great people, young people, some that were in the industry, and it was a really matter of fact, that's the reason why I'm sane today,
Yeah.
because I felt like I had that spiritual, grounding for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
you had to get right spiritually, you got connected with yourself. And a lot of times, especially in Hollywood, you hear a lot of stories. Actors, actresses, they go down the wrong road and they need
oh
guidance. They need guidance. They need somebody
yeah,
to help them get right back on track. And it sounds like that's what you did, with
yeah,
being a pastor,
and
especially in Hollywood.
we lost Gary. Gary Coleman is no longer with us. Dana Plato is no longer with us. There's so many different people. Adam Rich, not too long ago. All of my friends, you see over time, and we all have to go. But it's just to see my friends, leave us prematurely. To me, it just hurts.
It does because you want to grow old. That's what
Yeah, everybody, really, right? You know,
we all have that vision that we're gonna get up there. We're gonna pass in 80s or 90s. We don't want to go early. You know,
right.
we don't see ourselves going early, and then when it happens, it's heartbreaking. It's upsetting. We've all lost loved ones that passed too soon. And
Yeah, and I was also going to say, and speaking of early, there are some people out there, and I wanted to say for some of you out there who actually want to leave early, just hang in there, um, because God loves you, and I know it's hard right now, but don't leave us because there are people that love you and care about you, and they might not tell you that all the time, but just hang in there. You're going to get through it. Okay. There's a lot of hard times, a lot of different things going on in the world and in our country, but please don't leave. Okay. Whoever's listening, I don't know if somebody's out there who's thinking of, you might be depressed and, we want to see you grow old. We want to see you make it. We want to see you win. Right now, it might look like you're losing, but the game is not over. Okay. So hang in there.
that's very well said. I appreciate this, Shavar, because there are people, especially everything that's going on in the world today, and you mentioned that briefly in this conversation. There's so much negativity out here. There's so many things going on, and it could be a very depressing place to live here, and especially in this time period. But you don't want to just opt out of the game now. You want to fight. You gotta continue to fight. You gotta
That's right.
continue because you wake up every morning. Yeah, I check my wrist, Shavar. I got a pulse. I can open my eyes. I'm breathing. It's gonna be a
Mm,
good day. You gotta count your blessings and you gotta extract. And I tell everybody this. You have to extract the positives, no matter how small it is. Cling to that positive
that's right.
and own it and just be like, well, this happened. This is the greatest
Right.
thing that happened today. And stop.
Right.
You gotta change your mindset. That's what I try to tell people too.
That's right. That's wonderful, man. I love it. I love it. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, because it's so easy, especially with the toxicity of social media and the world nowadays. It could really get you depressed, like it can get inside your mind and affect you. And honestly, that mental fatigue, it's worse than anything physical.
Mm,
Mentally, it could take you down and cripple you. And
right. right.
It puts you
And
in.
sometimes I was going to say what you have to do sometimes is kind of turn that stuff off. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to turn the news off. You kind of got to take a little break from some of your friends and even family, unfortunately, just to kind of find your peace and to find out who you are. And a lot of us are walking every day and we don't know really who we are, why we are here on earth, a lot of different things. But I guarantee you, if you just take the time out to be still, that's what I like to say. If you just take the time out to just be literally, when I say be still, I'm like, and just stop thinking about the bills or the mortgage or what you got to pay and your aspirations. Put that to the side for a minute and just focus on right now. Like you said, I'm alive. I have a pulse. That's a blessing. And I used to, for me, it's like, man, I'm getting older. I'm like, man, I'll be 50. I'm 52 now. I'll be 53 next March. But my dad didn't make it to 39. He died of a heart attack at 38 years old. So when I was 17, when he died of a heart attack. So for me, to make it in life was to live past 38. You see what I'm saying? To live past 38. So a lot of people are, it's a blessing to embrace aging. I'm learning how to do that now, but yeah, just be thankful. You have beautiful kids, you have a family. They may, like I said, they may not say it all the time, but they love you. You can tell they're still there. They're still talking to you. They're still asking you for help and advice. They need you to participate in order to keep the family together. So don't go nowhere. I don't know who I'm talking to, but
Somebody, you bet. Continue to watch. We got a little more. Okay, don't go nowhere. But as a matter of fact, right now we got a little something special. We're gonna switch gear, segue right now to this little segment I have here called the 2-minute drill, Shavar. So, you better get ready now. Listen, no pressure. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. And there's no right or wrong. It's your best response to it. If you don't know one, you can pass, you can skip. It's okay. It's horror related stuff.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, you let me know. I'll set the timer and we're gonna get this thing rocking and rolling.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Favorite horror icon?
Favorite horror icon?
Yep.
Jason. I gotta go with Jason. Of course.
Favorite slasher?
Favorite what now?
Slasher.
Favorite slasher?
Yep. Favorite slasher film?
Phantasm.
Ooh. Weapon of choice?
And another one called Sparxx, aka The Vanishing, the Canadian version. Sparxx, Spoorlos, I think. So that was woo, my goodness. But Phantasm.
Gotcha. Weapon of choice?
Weapon of choice?
Yep. Yes, sir.
I don't like guns, so I guess I just have to go with that machete.
To remake or not to remake?
I think remakes are okay until they jump the shark, so to speak. But yeah, remakes they're okay.
Dark alley in New York City. Who do you want to have your back?
Oh, my angels. No, as far as a horror person, maybe
Could be anybody.
I'm not sure. I'm into angels, so I would say angels. I don't know what film that would be, but yeah.
Best horror personality?
I think Freddie.
Yeah.
I think Freddie.
80s or 90 horror?
Oh, I gotta go with the 80s. I'm an 80s person here, young person.
Favorite psychological horror movie?
Oh, wow. You know what? I forgot the name, but was it Memento? Memento? Or
yes.
It was kind of like they kept playing the movie back and they had to start it over again. Was it called Memento? I think it was Memento. Yeah, I love that film.
You got it. You're on the money. Favorite movie quote?
You scared of spiders? But no. I'm a Pacino fan, so everybody likes Scarface. But I like Carlito's Way. that's my film, you know. And so at the end, it was just just the ending of that whole film. I don't want to give it away for somebody who may haven't seen it, but it's just in the film. It said something like, when you can't see all the angles, like they got you, like you're done. Whenever you can't figure out the angles of things, you know, when it comes to, you know, crime and you know, whatever, you know, the things that he was into, um, in a starring role there, Pacino. I just thought that was, you know, still to this day, that sticks with me. If you can't figure certain things out, like if you're trying to figure things out, it's time to step back.
You got that. Great. I got you hit the time, the 2 minutes, but those are some really good answers, Shavar. And I didn't know you're a Pacino guy. That's good to know. I mean, you like obviously
Same size too.
How is
Pacino. Yeah, he's 5'6". 5'6". We the same height.
I'm the same thing here, man. I'm
short. But
listen,
he comes across like a big guy, you know.
we're all vertically challenged here. I'm 5'6" too, so it's
you okay? All right.
Speak for yourself.
You're 6'8".
Sure, man. That's why I got to stop looking up to you, man. I'm hurting my neck here, man. but yeah, man. Scarface was my movie too, man. Could you do a Pacino voice?
Pacino, no, but you know what? You know, of course I'm from New York. I was just in my hometown of the Bronx a couple of weeks ago, and I just got to see my uncles and, you know, my aunts. And it's funny because when I go to back to New York, and especially when I go to the Bronx, my accent comes out even more for some reason. It's like, you know,
that atmosphere. That's the same thing.
Yeah, I've been in California most of my life, but when I get back to New York, I'm like, yo, what's up, woo? How you doing, man? Hey, yo, you know, it's like so different. My energy just changed, and I love just the energy there. But it was great seeing my family. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I don't get to go back much, you know, back home, but I totally enjoyed it.
I didn't know you still had family up in the Bronx.
All my family's still in the Bronx.
So,
I have no family in California. They're all in the Bronx.
You got the fam in the Bronx. Every time I go back there, it's the accent too. The same thing. They call it Brooklynese, as I'm from, you know, down in Brooklyn. It just comes out when you're there more. It's like you said.
And I love seeing my uncle. It's like my uncle Ronnie. He's, I don't know, maybe he's almost 70, but he's always at this one particular spot on 3rd Avenue in the Bronx by 140th. And every time I come to New York, he's literally at that same spot. I was just thinking, wow, I remember coming back here in 83, and I could always find my Uncle Ronnie, like just literally on the corner, like just hanging out. Uncle Ronnie! And it's like, man, and he didn't even recognize me this time. It was really funny because he was like, that's SHAVAR! Oh my goodness, SHAVAR! You know, but it was like 20-something years since I seen him before that. But every time I go to New York, my Uncle Ronnie's right at that corner. And I got the video to prove it.
You know, you know, it's something. Speaking on New York, there's something about that city. You know, when you grew up on a block, it's a family environment. You know, people all know each other. People all look out for each other on that block. You know, and it was just that camaraderie and that family atmosphere. That's what I miss. You know, about the city.
Yeah.
You know, growing up there, man, and like you said,
and the fire hydrants. I was going to say the fire hydrants. I remember as a kid, I used to drink water from the fire. It was the best water. I don't understand why people don't understand this. It was like better than the best water. That fire hydrant water. As a matter of fact, I was walking past the fire hydrant the last couple of weeks ago when I was there, and I saw the water just coming out of the water, the fire hydrant, and I was like, I want to try it. I want to taste it. I didn't do it, but I was like, remember as a kid, it was just the coldest, best water. New York fire hydrants.
New York fire. There's something about it. I'll tell you right now. You're right, man. I mean, I took baths in that back in the day when you're younger with the fire hydrant, man. Everybody's always outside, Mr. Softy. Summertime, man. It was always something special in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I want to also talk about something else that we got you here. I want to switch up. Try 7 Entertainment. Okay, you have an online retail store in business. Try 7 Entertainment. What inspired you to create this, to get this going?
eBay. I was people were signing my autograph, and I guess they were forging my signature on photos from Friday the 13th on eBay. And I was like, what are they selling? And the thing is that they were saying stuff that I would never say, like, it was they were signing it and saying stuff like "Rock on, baby," SHAVAR ROSS, Reggie the Reckless, and I was like, "Rock on, baby!" I would never say that. So I was getting upset with eBay, and I was like, hey, you guys, they're signing. This is not me. This is like forgery or whatever, and they never wrote me back. eBay never took those autographed photos down. And then somebody later on said to me, well, if they're not taking it down, that means they're probably making money. And I was like, what? And I was like, I'm gonna do my own autographed photos then, and I'm gonna put it on eBay. And then I ended up doing that, and I started selling my own autographs. So I didn't even know people really wanted autographs. I'm like, what is going on here? And so I ended up selling my own stuff. And from there, I ended up getting into posters and movie posters. And I started designing various different posters, educational posters, sports, music posters. And we ended up, coming up with over 300 original like posters that nobody had. And then Amazon contacted me, and I ended up becoming a vendor with them. Then we eventually got on Etsy and Wayfair and Walmart.com. So our posters are literally all over the place right now. It's been like that. It's going on almost a decade now since I've been in e-commerce. Well, that's my main.
I'll tell you, next time you see me over here, I'm gonna get a picture. I'm gonna get some of those posters on these walls over. I gotta take.
Oh, I see you have some. Oh wow, look at you. Okay.
But you gotta hook me up. You gotta hook everybody up over here. You gotta tell them where they can find it. What website is it? Try7entertainment.com.
Yes, TRI-SEVEN Entertainment, spelled out Try7 Entertainment, and you can literally go to Google and you'll see us, and then you can type that in on Amazon and you'll be able to see all of our posters and we have some very interesting posters, also political posters. You guys might be interested in seeing some of our political posters that might give you a little bit of a laugh too. So,
listen, you don't want the Fugazi Reggie the Reckless. You want the real deal. I'll give you a little New York. No, you want the real deal. SHAVAR ROSS. Check it out. Try7entertainment.com. SHAVAR, I got this question, and this is the first thing that came to my mind because I think of you as, Reggie the Reckless. That's first, child actor, and now fast forward, you've done so many things in that time frame from like 84 to now. What advice would SHAVAR 2023 give SHAVAR 1984?
First of all, you have some amazing questions. Wow, I love it, man. That's great. You're making me think, and what would I tell my younger self? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, sir.
I would say to be careful about who you hang around. Save your money. that would be something, because I've been, getting residuals, and believe it or not, after 30, 40 years, residuals, I've been getting them since I was 8 years old, and they still come in. And of course, you see some of them dwindle over time, but there's still some residuals that come in. And I'm just like, my goodness, this was like 40 years ago. I'm still getting paid for this. It's just been a blessing. The only thing is that out of all of the years when I was on my own, growing up, mostly my teenage years, I would just spend it, and so that would be my thing, would be to save and use your money wisely and be careful. Don't just hang out with anybody.
That's really good advice, especially that save your money, man. I was the same way. It's in one hand, out the other. Oh, we're going out this weekend. Oh, listen, I made $400. I put $350 to my rent, and guess the other $50 I'm going to the club. I'm going.
Right. And you have to have a little fun too. There's nothing wrong with having fun. Just want to make sure you put some away for a rainy day or something happens, God forbid, an emergency or something like that.
Yeah, you're right on that. You have to reward yourself. I tell everybody that no matter what it is, you have to treat yourself to something, even if it's something as small as an ice cream or something, a food that you love. Just treat yourself for working hard.
Right.
Sean, did you have anything, Sean, that you wanted to throw out there before we wrap everything up?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, now SHAVAR, Another one for you, man. 10 years from now, where is SHAVAR Ross?
Alive. That's my prayer.
I love it.
That alive. It's so sad you have to say that now because of just everything that just in the world. I just would like to continue to be healthy and I would like to be in a higher spiritual place. That's my goal. That's pretty much what I live for. I'm working on it. I'm always working on myself. But I just want to be able to just continue to grow and remain in a state of peace in the midst of everything. Because that's the important part. Because I think personally, I think a lot of stuff that I don't know if you heard today, I don't know if it's real, but they just discovered Mexico little aliens that may be real. I don't know. I know that sounds funny. I don't watch that much television, but I have to admit I am an Ancient Aliens fan. So I don't know what it is. I think they had a meeting in Congress where something was going on there with something, but there's something going on.
Something strange in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't pinpoint it yet, but I think we're going to be in for some more shocks.
Okay. You ever see that? I hope it's not like that movie Mars Attacks in '96 where all those aliens came in. Next thing you know, man, I
think we're going to have some surprises and when it comes to extraterrestrials, and we're already seeing it now. You got military people saying, "Look at this stuff going on here." So there's a lot of different things going on. I think in politics too. I think we're gonna be in for some surprises to where if you don't know who you are mentally and have peace, I think a lot of people just want to end up. Some of them are actually losing it now. It's kind of sad how when you can't even go to a mall, it's hard to, enjoy yourself now without somebody coming in and just start shooting. So I think mental illness, we really have to really focus on our mental illness.
Yeah, you're right.
By the way, I was going to tell you, I'm thankful because I was able to go back to school. I'm actually still in school, and I just got 2 degrees. I'm on the AA level. I still got to work on my BA, but I just got 2 AA degrees in psychology and social and behavioral sciences. So I'm excited about that. So I'm always learning about the mind and spirit.
But that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations on that. And
thank you.
I know you're welcome, man. And I know you're probably deeming me absolutely insane right now. So it's okay. No, but you know what? You always have to keep learning. And that's it. You learn every day. When you stop learning, right. I feel like you stop living.
That's right.
You have to know yourself too, like you said too. You have to be at peace during this time of turmoil, man. There's a lot of things happening, and it can easily affect somebody. If you fall into that rabbit hole, you start reading things, you start watching the news, and it's like, don't let it consume you. Okay, know who you are, be good with yourself, and then nothing. You're unstoppable at that point.
Right.
If your mind is right, and you're mentally strong. Nobody's taking it.
That's right. Because we have so many different aspirations. Everything is fast, fast food, fast life. People they have aspirations and ambitions and they're focused on that, their aspirations and ambitions. But sometimes I think, at least with me, my thing is like my aspiration and ambitions is how can I just remain peaceful? How can I wake up and still have joy in the midst of if things don't go right? Can I still be in Zen mode, if you allow me to say? Can I still be in a state of, and to me, that's success. That's true success. When you can wake up and no matter what you're going through, whether you're making money, whether your business is just doing well or not, can you be content whether you're doing good or bad? That's the challenge, at least for me. And my goal is to be able to still remain in that peace no matter what goes on.
Man, you said it. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Then you made it. If you could be good, you get up every morning and you're good being broke or whatever. Like seriously, I got no money for nothing, but hey, I'm happy. Like that's it. I'm up. And,
and guess what? Yep. That's when the money comes.
Yeah.
That's the secret. That's when everything starts to come together, when you let go and you stop fighting. We got to stop fighting. We got to stop trying so hard. Just relax. As they say, smell the roses. Go out and enjoy yourself. Just relax and look around. Look around. Look at the sun. Look at the stars. Look at your hands. Like you said, you have a pulse. And then when you start to realize that, you're like, wait a minute, I'm living. And that's more important. They have fentanyl, and if you sniff it or touch it, there's so many different things out there now. So you have to, and then once you remain in peace and you start to learn how to listen and be still, I know I'm getting a little bit too much here. I don't want to start preaching. I can see what's Sean over there. He's
like, ready for the sermon. He's ready for the sermon.
This is turning into a ministry. I'm kidding.
I'm just old and tired.
once you, I didn't plan on going here today, but you just never know who's listening. And all I'm saying is just be encouraged, be thankful. You're still with us, and that's important. And you're here for a reason. So yeah.
No, listen, very well said, man. And just know that you're rich without being rich.
That's what I'm saying.
If your mind,
you got it, buddy. You got it.
That's it. So I appreciate.
Because you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you.
And that's the other thing. Now you're gonna get me going because I'm thinking about this, and what gets me worked up is like, you know what? And I'm guilty. We're all guilty of this. We invest so much time into. I'm gonna be very blunt with you right here. Into shit that does not matter. Excuse my language. Okay, because at the end of the day, you cannot get back time. You can't. And that's why I value everyone's time. That's why I'm so grateful to have you on the show, to have Sean co-hosting here with me, because time, you guys are taking the time, which is, it's priceless, for me, for this show. And it means everything. It really does. And I value that. I value everybody's time. And it's so important, and that's, I'm not going to get in a whole rant, but yeah, just, that's means a lot, Shavar. I appreciate you taking this time. And I know you're going to be taking some more time with us at the Waldorf State of Fear next month, October 13th. I don't know if you want to talk about it briefly. You want to throw something out there about October 13th and 14th at the Waldorf?
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and whoever's going to be coming October 13th and 14th. And this is Lehighton, Pennsylvania, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I was supposed to do like a little promo, and hopefully maybe you can use this. If not, I'll send you something else. But I'm looking forward to. I'm a hugger, so I know we got some things going on. But feel free if you just want to give me a hug, or if you need a hug, come up and say hello. And I'm looking forward to seeing whoever's going to be there in Pennsylvania in the next, about 4 weeks from now. So hopefully I'll see you soon. And we'll have some fun. Melanie Kinnaman and Ron Sloan. Dick Ween is going to be there. Deborah Sue Voorhees. So I'm looking forward to another reunion. So
it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait for it. This is something that when the organizer, shout out to Angela at the Waldorf State of Fear. She's the organizer of this. She owns that property. She's so excited about this. When she reached out to me, I was like, listen, part 5, Carol, this is in memory also of Carol Locatel. I believe we're also trying to give back. I was talking to her about doing a can drive for a local pantry, a local organization out there. So we're going to be doing that because Thanksgiving's right around the corner right after that. So we don't have that. By the time this comes out, we might know who we're going to be working with that, but at this moment we don't. So it's about that. It's about giving back, and it's also about Carol Locatel in memory of her and having a good time out here because she was. It seemed like, and I didn't know her that well, but I had a couple good conversations with her. It seems like she had a lot of life in her, and she seemed like just a good time to be around, according to some of the stories I've heard and Ron. So God rest her soul, and come on out for this and celebrate her life and celebrate part 5. These great people that are coming out here, Shavar, Melanie, Ron, Deborah, and Dick Ween. It's going to be a hell of a time, and I can't wait to see you out there. Check it out, WaldorfStateOfFear.com. I appreciate you, Shavar, taking the time. Sean, thank you so much, 80s Horror God, for joining us again today on Horror 365. Horrorheads, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Click that link below. Subscribe to the bottom. Horror 365. You can follow us on Facebook. That's where we got most of our dozens and dozens of fans on there. Facebook.com/HorrorHeads365. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Shavar right here for really, honestly, man, not only the conversation, but like some of the words that you had on this show were so moving and inspirational. I just hope that somebody out there that needed to hear this heard this. And I'm going to take this soundbite and that clip and I'm going to post it on the internet. And I hope it goes viral because there's a lot of negativity in this world. And there's a lot of people that are going through things that we don't know what they're going through because they put on a mask and a shield. But they'll hear this and it might help them. And I hope to God it does. So thank you for that, Shavar. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. Anytime, man. Anytime you want to come back on. Horrorheads, that's been it this week. We're going to see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for celebrating horror, not only in October, but 365. We're going to see you at the Waldorf Estate of Fear.